Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you. Together we are minting coins, talking about a lot of things happening in the world. We're talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency becoming legal tender in different states of the United States. Which state? Is it your state? You know, there's like a 1 in 50 chance it's your state, or maybe you're in a better state where cryptocurrency is already really awesome because the laws are changing, the world is changing. But what's not changing is that people are still getting scammed. And we're going to be talking about security, the Kevin Rose, his wallet getting hacked, losing $1 million in NFTs and then some, I believe. And so just, you know, basic tips that people got to know, things we have to do better in terms of code, the industry and development. And if you're going to stick around, we might be talking about crypto companies in the World Economic Forum going to Davos and, you know, and just how the movers and the shakers are getting involved into cryptocurrency. They are looking at the economy. They are looking at the money supply. They're looking at the companies in the future where we have Web 1, we have Web 2, we have Web 3, and the technology writing is not only on the wall, it's in the digital ledger, it's in the smart contract, it's being mined in every single transaction. What that message is, and that message is open blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and we're going to be talking about that and a lot more. I'm not alone to talk about it. We have Rachel. We have 184. What's up, Rachel? Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah. Who are you?
Who am I?
And and tell us about you.
Oh yeah, everyone's so curious. I'm Rachel. I'm do things on Twitter, and I now am the head of growth and content at Magnet Tokens. That's actually funny. Coins Tokens. Here we are, which is a smart contracts, airdrop, streaming, basically everything you could ever want to do with tokens. And then like the card of Web3 with token cap tables. I've seen the product now. It looks great. I'm very excited. So it should be fun. But yeah, so just great to be here and been in crypto since 2013. And just, this is my lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. Congratulations. You said head of content, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Content is king.
And growth also, which like it's now synonymous. It's the same thing almost at this point.
Yeah. Content growth. I mean, content is what reaches people. And I mean, content is marketing, especially where attention is king. And speaking of people that have my attention, 184.
Hey. Good to be here. Nice to meet you, Rachel Ransacks.
Hi, yes.
What am I? Hi, buddy. I'm 184 and I do Web3. That's it.
Love it. Perfect, straight to the point, succinct, gets it done. People can find you on Twitter. There you go.
He forgot his intro. He's like, oh yeah. There's an intro.
There's an intro. I never plan intros out. I know that's terrible, but I feel like authenticity wins here, so I'm like, it's fine. We're all kind of
authenticity absolutely wins. But it's still good to be able to, like, you know, you got to like get your 30-second elevator pitch down.
Your sizzle reel. You're like, yeah, your verbal sizzle reel. How do you explain yourself the best? And like, literally like a sizzle reel would do.
Yeah, 30-second elevator pitch, you know, networking. You got to have those networking skills, you know?
Yeah.
It's like my name's Gary Palmer Jr.eth, and I teach people about Web3 and Web3 domains so they can get onboarded into the future with their identity and their ability to have sovereign presence in Web3. Yeah, I kind of messed up the end there, but you know, something along those lines.
Good one. It's a good one. Also hosting the show. It's true. Yeah. It's like, I think you probably have the most regular actual like show, I think, of anyone on Web3 Twitter. I think so. Like, honestly, that isn't the most regular show that is not a Spaces.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I actually don't know a lot of people in Web3 Twitter that really have Web3 shows outside of Web3 Twitter.
Yeah, I really can't. I cannot name any others that I'm like, oh, I tune in. BitBoy does not count. I do not acknowledge BitBoy as a choice.
Yeah, no, he's like,
it's a fake show. It's all pre-recorded. Yeah, it's all pre-recorded.
No. Well, there is Julio I guess Julio.email now. He has a and I think he relaunched it. And Bashir, shout out to Bashir, also has his show. I think they're doing it semi regularly. I mean, we pulled back after the new year, but we were also dealing with like personal trauma that we talked about kind of a little bit before the show, which is like semi public on Twitter, but we're still very, very regularly, showing up to the ENS update show, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. on Twitter. And then the Minting Coin show, Whiskey Wednesday. I don't know if you guys got your glass of whiskey.
It's not whiskey. I'm trying my best. I got gin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cheers regardless. And yeah, and also doing the show a little bit earlier.
Nice.
So we're thinking Wednesdays and Thursdays doing a show a little bit earlier, 8:00, and that might work better for some of us. It might work better for some of our viewers and whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't even matter because this is just about having a conversation and connecting and having like a weekly public mastermind, if you will.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love being in the same sentence as mastermind.
What's that?
I said love being in the being like in front of the same sentence as the word mastermind. It's always fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this group of people. I would start something with you guys just because I know that you guys would be able to start something, and push back and think things through. I know you guys are good thinkers in the world.
See, this is why I don't need a 30-second elevator pitch, because the first 10 did that. See, you want to do something. If I spoke for an extra 20 seconds, that deal would be off the table. This is perfect.
That's actually just good strategy, just like getting more by saying less. Things I'm not good at. I mean, it's been better. I've worked on it more. And also, like, I think that's almost a Twitter, like, skill, too. It's just brevity. Life skill, brevity. I'm not one of those people. Wish I was. That's
One sentence at a time.
Yeah. Question is, how is it a run-on sentence?
Yeah, you got it. It depends if you have that pause note. People need to practice on putting a pause note.
Yeah, I know. I was reading something like people have been going more on LinkedIn now in the Web3 world just because everyone's out looking for jobs, but it's been like actually very interesting, and that's kind of like an onboarding people kind of vibe for it. I think for most of us, like for me, it's definitely like I put an NFT as my profile picture like over 6 months ago, maybe longer, because I'm just like, that is the ultimate saying, I'm not turning back. I will not go back to Web 2. Do not drag me there. Thank you. Or at least be in 2.5 and be doing something like that. But yeah, it's really been popping. There was some guy had this whole article, basically their equivalent of thread about wherever there's a comma, see if you can use a period instead. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that kind of works most of the time. I'd say either that or you rewrite what you were trying to say. Obviously, you were trying to say too much. I've been like, I was like, it's not translated to my actual writing today, but actually, I was working on when you're retooling a bio, you're going into a new company and you're kind of like, okay, like how do I put this? Like specifically like LinkedIn is its own style, like for a company bio versus Twitter versus anything else. But I like how I put out the Twitter one. So I was like, okay, how do I make this work for LinkedIn? Because obviously that's just making it work for the most forms of content that you possibly can with the least amount of, you can make one big thing into a bunch of others, but I'm terrible at that. I'm somebody that I will just go and just like rewrite all of it from like the ground up and be like, do I like it in this format? Do I not? I don't know. But there I go. Like I digress.
Yeah, well, it's a working practice, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people want to remember and we want to hold on to, and it's hard to always remember everything. Yeah. But what is easy to remember are certain basic principles, right? Principles like waking up and being grateful, waking up and making your bed, waking up, connecting with people that you know, that you like, that you trust. And maybe sometimes it's not waking up with, but things that you do before you go to bed. And one of those things is hang out with cool Web3 people. And that's why we do this show.
Yeah.
And that's why we really appreciate everyone that's watching. So if you're watching, please like this video, please subscribe, comment, because it really helps. We really appreciate the engagement, really appreciate connecting with you. And yeah, if you're feeling extra interested, feel free to check us out at mintingcoins.com. Feel free to become a member. And your support at mintingcoins.com, you get access to our members only videos, where we may be talking about, more explicit material in terms of what's happening in the world in terms of Web3 at a macro and a micro level. But you're also supporting what we're doing at web3domains.com, creating content, getting content out there in the world, onboarding people in the Web3 and Web3 domains. And we really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. 184 Rachel in terms of content creation. I know they appreciate that, because there's a lot of people that we got to onboard. There's a lot of information that we have to share. There's a lot of stories that we need to tell, because there's a lot of growth that's going to be coming into Web3 a little bit into 2023, and then a lot into 2024, 2025, 2026, and the 2030, 2032, right? And so it's going to be a journey. I'm super excited to be on this journey. I've been here for a while. I heard about crypto. First time I heard about crypto, 2013, 2014, or no, 2013? Yeah, I was like, wait, is that the right year? 2013, 2014. Kind of ignored it, did marketing around it, did some, social media, did some SEO around it for some Silicon Valley startups. But, 2016, 2017, that's when I started really paying attention. And everything was so early back in 2016, 2017. And, the banks were still laughing, and people were still laughing, and, corporations were still, everybody everywhere. Nobody was really taking Bitcoin seriously. Like, it was extremely few and far between. Like some of the tech companies were doing patents, and Fidelity was, had some really interesting things doing with like Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. And, there was a lot of like authentic growth, but there just wasn't a lot there. And just, from 2016 and 2017 into, 2019 and 2020, and here we are in 2023, practically going into 2024. We're seeing this over and over again. And what this is essentially the fear of dollar, loss in dollar value, and value going into Bitcoin because of the inflation of the dollar, and hyper Bitcoinization, not only into Bitcoin, but into cryptocurrencies. Right? I don't know if you guys know about hyper Bitcoinization and just like basically all money being sucked into Bitcoin, but really I think it's going to be cryptocurrencies, right? It's going to be a network. It's going to be a percentage into Bitcoin, a percentage into Ethereum. I think Ethereum is going to be the number one network effect that hyper Bitcoinization goes into, because of Ethereum is like a really strong layer 1 or layer 2 for Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin might be strong in terms of a gold, and then there are going to be other blockchains and other currencies that value is sucked into. But this is coming out brand new just a couple hours ago today. Arizona senator introduces bill to make Bitcoin legal tender in the state. And allowing, and what does this mean? Like, obviously anybody in Arizona can currently accept Bitcoin if they want to. But what this does is that this allows state agencies to accept the Bitcoin as currency. So a long time ago, it was crazy if you said this. People would be like, maybe that's kind of crazy. And now we have El Salvador doing it. Now we have Arizona proposing it. And even with Arizona proposing it, there's even, cooler action happening in places like Texas, New Hampshire, Missouri, Mississippi, Wyoming, all sorts of places, because each of these states are individual units of government, and each of these states, they want their states to succeed. They want their states to rise in strength and power. And so we're seeing, states starting to recognize that they want cryptocurrency to be a really important part of where they're living. Arizona doesn't want to be left behind because of what Texas and New Hampshire and Missouri, Mississippi, Florida, Wyoming are doing. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think this adds on to the seriousness, or do you guys think this is just a fleeting news story?
Serious enough, as long as it gets rid of Elizabeth Warren FUD. That's about how I'm feeling about it.
Hope everybody's having a great day. I just popped in and found out I was just in time to talk about my home state. So allow me to just give a little bit of applause for the good people in the Senate of Arizona.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
To me, this is a really big deal. I get that it's a game of catch up in a lot of ways to some of the more progressive states that have been taking a future forward stance. But honest to God, the fact that we now have legislation that is theoretically going to be brought to the floor and voted on to take positive Bitcoin action is hugely beneficial for the states that have considered doing such, right? It kind of gives them a green light in their own way. And you're right, Rachel, we need more anti-Elizabeth Warren FUD. And this does a lot of that for us. So I'm thrilled about it. Honest to God.
I love when Arizona pulls stuff like this. I enjoy Arizona. I went to the University of Arizona freshman year of college. Love it there. Tucson's its own thing. It's interesting. I feel like Arizona's a red state, but it is more progressive than the red states. It just is.
It's become much more purple over the last 5 years, and this is one of the ways that I think it's still holding true to its roots, but is willing to be a little bit more progressive in other blue ways. So not to get too political. Yeah,
no, I feel like also this we're highlighting here, paying for debts, and this is a game changer for so many people that have been oppressed by the system. It is because there's so many people who probably have a decent amount of Bitcoin, they're holding it, they understand the long-term value, or they have access to ways to get Bitcoin, and just that would help. It's a lot easier, I think, to obtain money, to make money from Bitcoin than it is to actually go through a bank and deal with the other nonsense to pay down significant amounts of debt or taxes. It just is easier. And it gives people more opportunities to play actually for equity.
Am I audible right now?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Max, well, yes. Welcome to the show, StephenMiller.eth, and people can find you more at StephenMiller.eth, and welcome to the show Novax.eth.
Okay. Yo, I love this because we got some Arizona people in the house. Steven lives in Arizona, and I guess we have some rival universities as well because I graduated from ASU. And when I look at something like this, ASU's tech entrepreneurship program is super advanced in the country. It's like the leading place where the academic world is focusing on studying entrepreneurship. And so this kind of thing is really, really interesting to see for Arizona, just as a leader in the tech space, growing as the kind of Silicon Desert or whatever it's called. It's there's stuff happening in Bitcoin. I don't really see it in the same way that the previous take ransacks as much with empowering people in more disadvantaged positions. I kind of think that the bias in this case will be towards people who've made some money, and they got a lot of Bitcoin, and maybe this makes it a little easier for them to just deal, to use it as a currency as opposed to as an investment all the time. It sets up preferable maybe taxation and that sort of a thing, I would imagine, but for holding it and transacting it all the time. Maybe not every one of those purchases a candy bar in Bitcoin is going to be regarded as a as a 1099R or whatever, but so just some thoughts.
At a federal level, they have talked about that. And at a federal level, they have talked that the any transaction under $600, could be free of the capital gains tax. So it could just be spent more freely. And so kind of like this article points out that recent actions in states like Texas, New Hampshire, Missouri, Mississippi, and Wyoming is probably the best state in the whole country when it comes to Bitcoin. Yeah. And so the more this is happening, even though there's a slim chance of this happening in Arizona, the likelihood of such bills, these are only going to increase across the entire United States. And again, specifically what this means, it doesn't, people can already accept Bitcoin in any state. As an individual, you could accept Bitcoin. What this does is that this allows people to pay their taxes. The one thing that you can't pay, with Bitcoin is taxes.
Yeah.
And so once this bill gets passed, you'll be able to pay your state taxes with Bitcoin, and you'll be able to pay, what do they say? Let me read, an acceptance bill is more broad, saying a state agency, any of them, may enter into an agreement with a cryptocurrency issuer, like a third-party provider, to provide a method to accept cryptocurrency as a payment of method for many things, such as fines, civil penalties, other penalties, rent, rates, taxes, fees, charges, revenues, financial obligations, special assessments, however the hell they want their money, whatever they're going to call the thing that you got to give them money for, you're going to be able to pay that in Bitcoin according to the way this is written.
So one of the things that I guarantee you will bore you to tears if you've never known it about the state of Arizona is that they love to privatize this part of their legislation. Trying to bring in private kind of processors, right, to allow for outside parties to benefit off of giving that type of service back to the state is one of the things they love to do. They've done it and enabled it for every single one of their utilities, and as well as like the current tax system. So if you're paying your state taxes, like they already trust an outside payment processor. So I'm less surprised by that piece. But again, just as I said on the front end of it, I really hope that other states start taking notice of that. That's a really, really great piece. And I hope that more states consider bringing in privatized payment processors. It'd be really cool.
That makes sense. I'm trying to think of like what states are more likely. Like New York's, I'm in New York. Their policies with this are bullshit. Sorry, I'm saying it. A lot of policies just bullshit.
See,
like,
and this is proof. This is proof that you can get a good education at University of Arizona. So at least
I actually graduated from the new school, which is a comparable acceptance rate in New York. I went to art school in the end. Big school, not for me. I don't do football, sorry. But like, I had a great time. And now I'm just itching to go back. Now after this conversation, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, should I try to go to Canyon Ranch or like somewhere out just in the middle of nowhere? Like, this is the time, but I don't know. Like, I'm from Maryland and they're going to take forever to get onto this. I was like trolling. I literally like just looking, like I was bored and like over the weekend was just like looking up just like, how the hell is no one I went to high school with into this? Because like, I don't know, but yeah, none of those fuckers. I was like looking up wallets. I was looking at VNS and I was like, should I just squat? Should I just squat and just be a dick? Like anyone who is terrible to me, just squat on the name and like do that? Like, is that the move? Just punishing people for not being into this earlier? I don't know. But no, I don't know.
Real ammunition for the rest of my night. So thank you.
I try. But yeah, I don't know. States I could see, I could see, yeah. I think it's interesting the choice. Why is Florida not done this? Florida's so obsessed with everything crypto, which I love that for them. I love Florida. People shit on Florida all the time. I love Florida. Honestly, it's just you get to live like most people in Florida, no matter what kind of they're living their best life a decent amount of time, especially the people being really tacky or ostentatious. Like they are living their idea of their best life. Good for them. Like that's why I feel like my mom lives in Florida and she has this like apartment and it like looks out onto like the intercoastal and it's like all these people, like just like a bunch of girls on a yacht taking photos for Instagram. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them. They're probably having a great day. Like honestly, like they're having a good time, whatever they're doing. They're just living their life. Like this is the power of Web3. Like I think 2 years ago, I would have judged the shit out of me. Like, who do these bitches think they are? Like now I'm like, you know what? Good for you. You were living your best life. Enjoy. Like I love Zen. So send me more Zen Web3 me. Like meditated. I was able to do that. I've been trying to do that for like over 20 something years, something crazy. In the past like couple months, like that was great.
That's good. That's good for you. I get a feeling like Gary's a meditator. I think Ada and Gary talked about spirituality a few different times on here. I feel like Gary has this deep well of power within him, just like he has to come from some meditation. Maybe you'll spill some of the beans with us, Gary.
a good question.
Yeah, man, I could get into it. I don't think people are like really interested in getting into it. Most people want to make money. They don't want to like, make self-improvement. I don't know. It's like, yeah, maybe some people want both. It's like, like it's really interesting. Like 85% of all the money in book sales come from self-help improvement books, and people keep on buying those books. And it's like, is it helping? Or I think the biggest problem with anything, it doesn't matter if it's like meditation or if it's self-improvement or if it's personal improvement or professional improvement. It's all about having a practice. And everything comes with a caveat, because you don't want to have a practice for the sake of having a practice. Because if you're practicing something and having a routine just because you're telling yourself you need to have a routine, then you get yourself into a position where you actually need to destroy your routine, right? And like start using chaos theory, right? Like too much meditation theory, you need a little bit of chaos theory. And so when you have a routine, you want to make sure you're having a routine because you know what your purpose is of having that routine. And people don't, they don't have a plan. They don't have an outline. They don't write their plan down on paper. You need to actually take your plan and turn it from mental energy, and you got to turn it into physical, and you got to physically take something you're thinking. And if you're not like an artist, right? Like if you're an artist, you understand what I'm saying, I bet. Right? But if you're not an artist and you have a lot of ideas in your head, you need to write the words on paper and have the routine of writing those words on the paper. And you got to have the routine of like, knowing what it is you want to do, what it is you got to do, and doing it. Let it be meditation or personal or professional. And that's really, really hard. It's really, really hard for people to, have a practice of being grateful, or having a practice of like making their bed, like we were talking about earlier, or having a practice of like showing up on time, or making a practice of like saying thank you, or making a practice of like thinking about it, like whatever it is, professionally or personally. And speaking of practices, Ada has a lot of practices. She's the goddess of practice.
Wait. What are we talking about?
We're talking about the new channel that you guys are working on spinning off called Minting Zen. Really looking
People
forward.
would pay for that so much. Oh my god, they would love that.
Transcending
Zen plus conspiracy theories.
Ooh, people would actually
everything.
really vibe with that.
We should totally pivot just to conspiracy theories and Zen.
Go.
People would also love that.
If it's gonna be that, it's gonna be minting mindsets.
Ooh,
Great.
No manners in the room. We got some great.
you got me.
Oh
Wow.
my God, guys, just 7 years of brand experience over here. I'll leave. It's fine.
Holy shit, that was amazing. Like I
Yeah.
disappointed myself for not going there. Like wow, like my degree's trash. Like
That is perfect.
It's honestly okay, Rachel. Novak's went to ASU. He understands.
Great to life too. I mean, even all the young kids there were smarter than me, and it was tragic, And I went remotely, so I don't even know all the Forcum stuff and all the school, whatever customs. I'm just in the dark. I have to fake it.
So you not only graduated, but you also survived getting a degree from HPVU.
ooh.
I mean, I've heard it called that only this one time, so I don't even have any like witty retorts or anything.
This is honestly just what I get on like my driver's license. It's like on the back of it, all of these different retorts for every single university in the state. Like that's just what I've memorized at this point. So don't mind me.
We were talking a little bit, somebody had suggested that we do spirituality conversation, and then Gary has nicely transitioned that into a possible conspiracy convo, which I think could be fun. But we do talk about reserving these for the after show. Maybe that's a good protocol in general, because we might get deplatformed for going too deep into the Bigfoot. We all know Bigfoot's real. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Now that you went there. Yeah, Gary and I are like a perfect blend of like spirituality and conspiracy. It goes together like peanut butter jelly sandwich. It's
You
perfect.
need a show. You need like a reality show, mainstream media show, like something. Like just I feel like the rest of the world needs to be like red pill, just orange pill. They just need to get that. What if that's a show?
100%.
They follow
Yeah.
you around and you're trying to onboard people. Why has no one done this? Like, why is EA Entertainment not on this? Like, this seems like a show they would have done back when they were still relevant.
100%.
Because they really do the subcultures. Because I mean, what's crazy is this is still considered a subculture. It totally is. It's for a long time, like, because this is a culture. Web3 is a culture. Buying cryptocurrency is a culture. It just is. Like, so it's become if you're gonna say from like more of a, I guess, like what sociological perspective, whatever you're gonna say, looking at groups and groupings of humans, this is a subculture. It totally is. It's just interesting to think of like punk as a subculture, like thinking of just like what this is around, and they have lasted forever, and they're just an enduring thing. They're so built into like the zeitgeist of, I know that's douche. I reckon like the fact I have a master's degree is popping that in there. The zeitgeist.
Yeah.
I
believe that it's amazing how like certain subcultures kind of like last over. I was recently doing a Peloton ride. I don't have a Peloton bike, but I use the Peloton app and it's awesome. And there's this one instructor that I love, and the only reason that I love her is because she does all these like new wave, like The Cure, the Susie and the Banshees, Duran Duran. Like, who doesn't want to like work out your life's shit while you pedaling and sweating profusely to like the best music of your life? I mean, it's no brainer. It's perfect. So, but I was thinking about it the other day. It's like there's certain subcultures that really lasted through, through generations. There are subcultures that I think come and go, but there's certain ones that they speak to each different generation, and they change slightly, but I think that the main tenet of what that subculture was about survives.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's incredible.
That's so true. I put this tweet out today, and I was like, how many of you like pulse check, like how many people on here were former like scene kids, emo, rave kids? Like, that's all community. It's all culture. It works perfectly. A lot, like also Plur, just the kind of mindset. Yeah, same.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. Like that festivals, like
I still am a rave kid.
Yes,
100%.
And a lot of other things, but
I cannot wait till NFT NYC when Rave Kid Gary comes out to play.
Oh my god.
Rave
oh
Kid
my
Gary.
god, yes.
Yeah, with like the big pants.
I was floating an idea today of like making like candy like for it, like the bracelets for East Denver for like thing I'm working for, and I was like, well, I'll make them myself because I'm like, I got practice, I got a kit, like I will just go to town and just make a shit ton of candy bracelet just for people, like, and give them out. I'm like, that's kind of like, it speaks to people, like, and especially with the developer conference, I feel like a lot of like devs had like a big, like a lot of times like the stoner kids, like, and like the actual like the really smart, like basically future developers of the world, they all hang out. That's all their thing. That's the music. It overlaps from what I've witnessed. Like, I mean, maybe in a small sample size, but also like from the largeness of Twitter, and like you see everybody's pictures, like the amount of women who are incredible community organizers who are really into Tumblr, it's an astounding pipeline. Or Pinterest also, like it's astounding. Like that pipeline is just so strong in particular. And I think it's just a lot of like, at this point, like the type of personalities that gravitate to the space and become the personalities, in quotations, of the space, if you know what I mean with that. Like, it's just a very like particular type of like mindset in general, and how everything kind of goes with it. Like, it's just open-mindedness. Like, smoking weed requires open-mindedness to go out of your way to get something. And to go get weed, to go find it, the rigmarole of it. I think people who grew up like having to go to a dealer, like you naturally, like this shit felt natural. All this shit felt natural. Like you're used to kind of being a little scary, but like you want what you want, and you're gonna deal with it. And you're gonna also like, plus it's a lot of communication. You learn a lot about communicating. You learn a lot of kind of just relating to all types of people, because oftentimes you're going to a friend of a friend's dealer's house, you get in there, you have to figure out and read the room, assess the situation. Are you going to sit on the couch with them that probably smells a little bit?
guard your facial cues, your body language very carefully. Don't give anything away right now, guys.
And so like I was back like on Silk Road and shit, like that felt exactly the same, but like a little bit more like raw because you could just see all the shit in front of you.
All the while I'm sitting here saying to myself, damn, Rachel, that Owings Mills experience is really telling. Sorry, that's a joke for the East Coasters who know Baltimore.
Yeah, I grew up in Bethesda. That's even worse in the way of like just really sheltered people who just like, they're like, no one did drugs. Everyone's picked. There was a couple people who did rave and go into like, what was it? What the hell is it called? The 930 Club on the weekends, and would be coming from like Infected Mushroom and like talking about it. And I was just like, I don't get it. But like every time I've tried to fit in and I've lost out on opportunities. Like 2013, didn't buy Bitcoin because I want my parents asking questions. Stupid. It was under $100. I was on in like June 2013. Stupid. Kick myself all the time. After that was like, oh, this thing seems like a fad. It seems weird. I don't know. I don't want people to judge me for it, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Then 2020, pandemic hits. I'm just buying. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck them all. What am I going to do? And then getting into NFTs was the ultimate just like, fuck everybody. I'm just going to do me. Why the hell am I trying to act like someone I'm not for other people? Why am I living my life in like shoulds? You should do this. You should do that. And then, oh my God, yes. You just saw the chat. Oh man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from like, because like I was a YouTuber in 2017, and so I met a lot of other YouTubers, and I met a lot of other people, and there's a lot of people that got involved in Bitcoin because they needed to either buy or sell an eighth of oregano.
Oh my God.
And their dealer of oregano wanted to get paid in Bitcoin. And so they had to like pay like 2 Bitcoin for, or probably like at that point, that or whatever. Yeah, at that point, yeah, they probably had to pay a couple Bitcoin for an eighth of oregano. And some of these like early dealers, like then, they're basically, the same thing happened with the Ethereum kids in, 2016, 2017, like right in there, like 2015, because basically all the Ethereum kids just turned, like anyone that had a gaming computer, you went to something like NiceHash, or you just mined directly you downloaded and mined directly when you weren't using your computer. You just had your computer doing mining with your video graphics card while you weren't video graphicsing. And some kids were like, I'm not going to ruin my card for that. And other kids were like, I want a couple extra dollars, And each of those $1 that those kids, like they were losing money by their parents' electricity, you know what I mean? And probably making like a couple dollars a day, which is like a few $100s a month. But every single one of those dollars is now 1 Ethereum, because each of those dollars was 1 Ethereum, because Ethereum. And so those kids, you got to think about the mentality, and you guys know what this feels like. I bet everyone does. Like who's in crypto, we all know what this feels. If you've been through a bull market, you know what this feels like. Where one day you have $100 of Ethereum, which is 100 Ethereum, and the next day you have $150,000, and it feels like you have $100, and you're spending pennies like they're $100 bills, because they are, right? You guys know what I mean, right?
No. Poor people and still in here. It has not happened.
What price did you buy Ethereum?
I know what you mean about the electricity bills.
The first time I bought Ethereum, I think it was like 2,500.
Oh, you're late.
I was late to Ethereum. Like 2021 late to Ethereum.
Okay.
I do my best to just buy whenever there's a top.
Oh, it's annoying. I panicked, bought and sold an entire Bitcoin in March 2020. Well, because like I had been out of work for like months, and I was just like, I saw it, I just impulse, but it was on Robinhood. So again, I'm not too upset because like it wasn't real Bitcoin anyways. Yeah. But I panicked, bought and sold, and I think I lost money. A couple, like $5 or something, like just because of the trading fee or something. It like stayed pretty stagnant, and I'm like, I kick myself constantly. But the question is, would I have had the discipline? Probably not. But yeah, being on Silk Road when that shit was like, I was trying to figure out Satoshis and like, what the hell is this? What is this, like 0.00 what? Like, if a Bitcoin, that was the first time I think I had actually encountered that concept even. Yeah, I think it was like weed was like 0.005 Bitcoin or something. Like I saw somewhere something weird. I don't know. And I think it would be 0.5 actually. Yeah, it would have been 0.5 at that point because I think it was like under $100. But I don't know. I think it was like $20. I think I was trying to go to like Rite Aid and buy a $50 like Visa gift card and use that to like try to buy Bitcoin. And like it made like a Mt. Gox like wallet because there was no resources. There was not shit. No one on Twitter was. I didn't know about people on Twitter talking about this.
I mean, we were talking about it, I think, on this show, kind of like if you could go back, like to what point you would go back. And people often say like, oh, you know, when Bitcoin was like into cents. But it's really interesting because even now we look at it and we're like, there's barely any infrastructure like for anybody to get onboarded that isn't already here. There's so many steps, and even if you like manage to get them through those steps and kind of handhold them, there's still so much out there of like possibility of kind of getting scammed, or even like how do you research a project, or how do you like find the project that's viable versus like everything else, or you know, like how do you make these decisions, like, you know, even, or like what's your game plan, like are you gonna buy and hold, are you gonna buy over time, are you gonna dollar cost average, you know, are you just gonna degen? Like there's so many different ways, and I think in each and every of those there are success stories, like in everywhere. Like, hey, I bought this one JPEG and like I made insane amount of money, and then everybody else goes and then they go and buy like 100 JPEGs and they all rug. Like it's just, you know, because of the FOMO, because like sometimes you just get lucky. And I think that if you have been in a space any amount of time, I talk about it all the time, and if you don't have those stories of how you wouldn't make this tray or buy this thing or sell this thing too early, then you would have had millions of dollars, then like you haven't been long enough. Like literally, like if you don't have those stories, and it's like, you know, Gary and I have like plenty of those stories. I mean, I look back and I'm like, wow, Ethereum was like $4, like $4. But then it's like when it went to the very top and then it went down, it went to like $100. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, if you just like, if I would have just been like, I'm just going to dollar cost average and buy, then it eventually like turned around. So it's like, how many of those cycles does it take before you're like, all right, I'm 100% on board. Like I get what's, so this time around, I'm like, I know what's happening. Like everybody's freaking out. I'm not freaking out.
Are we in a bull trap? There's a lot of drama and like FUD with that. Do we think the Bitcoin's going to go down a little bit more and then pop back up? That's my thought. I don't think it's going to go crazy to like bottom to 8. People are saying 8. I'm like, I wish, because then I would be finally like money's coming in. I'd be buying. I would be buying full Bitcoins. That is what I would do if it went down below. If it goes below 10 ever again, I'm just taking whatever the hell I've got and just buying, because I'm like, fuck it. But I don't think it'll go back down that low ever again. I don't see a point, because like you look at it. I mean, you guys would know better than me.
Depends what you mean by
you never know. Like you never know, because I think there's so many factors, and what we don't understand is that like many of us are just like tiny fish. Like you are the amoeba in the big ocean of sharks. Like you're an amoeba, literally. And with that kind of money, especially,
it's better to think about yourself as a guppy, because they're going to rip you apart.
Okay, you're guppy.
Totally.
All right, you're not an amoeba, you're guppy. It's better. Somebody should make a t-shirt.
A little guppy.
Little guppy. Totally.
Such a little guppy.
But I think with that amount of money, you can tweak the market. So is it what we're going to see is actually there, or is it to somebody's benefit that it's going to hit certain points? Like, I don't think we're ever going to see $3,000 Bitcoin. I don't believe it. But
how much? You don't think how much?
3,000.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
3,000 is crazy. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
8. I think 8
Yeah.
lowest ever again.
I don't think.
I'm thinking 11.
I'm-
So I think
yeah.
I think it's 11. I'm buying. I think it's 11.
Yeah.
I'm buying.
I don't think we're gonna hit single digits. But like I said, I don't know anything, and it could all happen. But I think that where people are like, where they look at it, they're like, oh, the minute it hits that, then it's gonna skyrocket in a month. And I honestly, Gary and I just had that conversation. I don't believe we're gonna start seeing the next bull run until 2025. Take a drink of whiskey. Don't hate me. Hang in for the ride. Not financial advice, but dollar cost average. Build your projects. Like, this is the building time. Like, whatever you can imagine, build that shit. Seriously, just build it. Build a community. Be in a community. And you know, when the time is right, it's all gonna go up. But I think this whole like having the conversation around like, is it going up? Is it going up? Is it going up? It's like not. It's not, and it doesn't help anyone.
It just matters when it pops enough that the normies start to talk about it again. That's what we like. That's what we like.
Yeah.
That's like the big enough drop or big enough like high, and then they start talking. And no matter what, like as long as it's part of the conversation, it'll move back where we need it to go. Like honestly, I actually almost feel at first I was sad, but I feel better about being 2025 because I'm like, okay, this is good. This is still means I have accumulation time. That still means I can still get my shit together. Like that's my anxiety right now is like feeling like there's a tiny mini NFT bull run and being like, I can't fuck up this shit for the next 2. I need to really get my shit together, buy good stuff, and just hold it and just like trust that it's gonna work for me. The thing is, I don't see myself buying a house. I don't see myself having kids. I don't see myself doing any of that shit till like decently after 2025. So you know what? Like that.
The first thing everyone needs to worry about is their cash flow. All right, you got to make sure your rent is being paid. Okay, because if you don't have the cash flow, if your rent's not being paid, you're gonna have to take whatever shit you got and you're gonna have to sell it, and you're gonna sell it at the bottom. Because that's how life works, okay? Yeah. And you got to have your cash. If you got your cash flow down, then you got to make a strategy. And some people, our strategy is just to buy and to hold. Just buy and to hold, because you know what happened for me talking about my story, and I think a little bit different than Andre. I think things are going to start getting better as late as like say like. You know, generally speaking, like Q4 2024. Okay. I don't think we're gonna have to wait till 2025.
It's basically the same. It's almost Q4 2024 is basically 2020.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as early as like Q1 2024.
But it sounds so much better if you say 2024.
No, but I wasn't Q4. Basically the next year.
The bigger point, like not financial advice. You know what I mean? Like obviously, we're not giving financial advice in this channel. But I definitely, and you know, we can go straight to the all-time. If we go to the all-time highs, that's what matters. Like going high doesn't mean, you know, like 50% higher or 100% from where we're at. Going higher means we have to hit the all-time high again. And until we hit the all-time high again, we are fucking not in a bull market. Okay?
Yeah, we ain't there yet.
I don't care if we go from like $1,000 or $1,500 Ethereum. I don't care if we go to $3,000 Ethereum. Until we hit 45, until we touch or breach $4,500 Ethereum, we're not in a bull market. So I think we're absolutely going to have another blow to the crypto market, and I believe that's going to happen in conjunction with the world economy faltering, and the world economy faltering due to supply chain issues, sometimes self-inflicted because of the whole ESG narrative, which I'd love to get into the after show and the WEF and Davos and stuff. But we're going to get hit again. And after we get hit again, then we're going to basically bounce up. We're going to sideways action. And then it's going to be a slow and steady up into like a new all-time high, just like, not financial advice, but you know, I'm doing a thing you shouldn't do, which is looking at the past, you know, things. And the past things is that we hit the COVID dip where the Bitcoin was like hovering between like the 5 to 10,000. It did a death dive down to 3K and then up to $6,500, right? And so we're going to do another death dive I personally, in my charts, I don't show charts on this channel. Maybe I should, but my charts go to like 11K ish. Maybe a little bit under 11K. And we're talking wicks, everybody. We're talking wicks, right? You got to understand, listen, I don't trade, okay? Because I tried trading and I realized that like you got to be able to catch falling knives, or you got to be generally correct. And in order to be generally correct, you got to be able to wait periods of time, right? Because you got to, like, unless you can catch the falling knife, which nobody can do, and if you can do it, then you were lucky and you can't repeat that. And you have a better chance of winning by time in the market. Just like hold in the market, you'll beat every trader. If you just dollar cost average for 10 years in the Bitcoin and Ethereum, you'll beat every trader in the world. And you know, when like we're talking about charts and we're talking about all-time lows, you know, it's going to be there for like an hour or 6 or less than 6, and when it hits the all-time low, it's going to hit like 11K or 10K or 10.5, or maybe it touches 9.5. Who the hell knows? And whatever it touches in terms of that bottom wick, you are not going to know. You're going to be like, you're going to doubt yourself, or it's going to go lower. It's going to touch 11, or it's going to touch 8. It's going to touch 75, you know, and you're going to be wrong. So yeah, the ladies, liquor, and leverage. Liquor, ladies, and leverage. I bought both of those ENS. I gave them both to Ron because he was bringing that up, so I gave them to him.
Ladies, liquor, leverage, and Litecoin. What is the ENS on it? What is it? Ladies, liquor, leverage.
Yeah, just ladies, liquor, and leverage. .eth. The fourth
fun one. Like,
it's really the 3 L's. I think that fourth L is so bad.
Like, no. I was explaining this to my husband, this whole concept of like, sometimes I just buy shit because it's fun and I want to have it. I just mint it because I want to have it.
Is it a lady, liquor, or leverage?
Yes, I feel like that's fun. It's like it's almost like a POAP. It's like a little bit more expensive POAP that has some type of like future value. That's what I do all the time, like stupid shit. Like I love doing that. It's so much fun.
Yeah, you consider it a POAP. I consider it proof of regrets.
Ouch.
POR.
Resisted the temptation to buy a Bitcoin as the chicken is the new Bitcoin the other day for 0.008. I just told myself, as much as this guy is sincerely struggling in war-torn Syria and sincerely wanting to start a chicken farm for $2,000, and as much as I'm sure these photographs are authentic pictures that he's taken of chickens and they are beautiful, I can't make that investment right now. You know what I mean? This is investment money. This isn't money for something else. This money is for investment. So I had to advise myself against buying the Bitcoin as the new chicken or chicken as new Bitcoin, even though it's beautiful chicken photography.
I've never heard of this.
It serves a good cause. Was I wrong? Was I being greedy in that? I mean, I don't know. I have to really self-reflect.
You know, I talk to my kids, I talk to my friends, I tell them you want to have reoccurring sources of income to create wealth. And I'm now realizing you also want to have reoccurring sources of chicken eggs.
100%.
And you know what's 2023 is. Yeah, I want everyone to know. You know, like, yeah, the market's going to crash. I think the market's going to crash because I don't want to talk about price. I just want to talk about building. I just want to talk about building. I don't want to talk about price. But you know, in terms of the price, we do have Grayscale in the digital currency group going head to head with the SEC. They're also going head to head with Gemini and the Winklevi. And this SEC court hearing is postponed to March 8th. So that means we're going to get through all of February and a week of March. And yeah, basically, we got to see what happens with the SEC and Grayscale. We got to see, because SEC does not like what Grayscale's been doing. But even more than that, we got to see what's happening with Grayscale and Genesis Global. And we have to see if that's going to affect the GBTC. We talked about this before in the show. Can you guys believe? You guys remember what I said about the GBTC? I don't know if any who was here before, but if you want to know, this is mega alpha. So all the millions of people watching the show right now, this is the alpha. When the GBTC number This is my one metric. If I wanted to know if the bull market was coming back, this is the one metric. If I could pick one metric, it would be, is the BTC premium decreasing or going positive? If this number goes from negative 41.5 to positive 1, that would be extremely bullish. I mean, at this rate, if it goes to negative 20, that's bullish. Just so you guys know, that's the alpha.
Yeah, I did not know about this. This is cool.
If you
Okay,
look up.
It's the first time it's going remotely up, and then it's like a little dip today. Teeny little dip.
What is this, like Genesis's Bitcoin peg? And they've gone insolvent, and so you're using it as a metric for general market wellness?
No, what this is, I mean, not exactly a little bit, sort of. What this is the price of Bitcoin. If you were to purchase it, a unit of GBTC. So if you are a financial person, and if you have financial money, and financial money is different than normal money, right? This isn't really a financial show, but financial money is money that you have in the financial system that you can't pull out and use as regular money. You know what I mean? And you got to keep it inside the financial system. Think about it like a 401k. You know, with that sort of financial money, you can't take that money and buy things at your farmer's market. You can't take that money and buy Bitcoin. But what you can do is that you could take that financial money and you can purchase GBTC, which is a synthetic type of Bitcoin, right? And if you were to purchase one Bitcoin, essentially, using GBTC, how much is one Bitcoin right now? Like, can we say 17,000, 17,500?
23,000.
Huh?
What Bitcoin hit up like to 23,000 today.
Oh, it's 23,000? Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's good. That's cool. Again, you know, I mean, I would be interested in looking at it if it was like 50% of the all-time high, which was 69,420. So like real quick, 69,420.
That's hysterical. That was actually the legit all-time high, and then people were just like, "Fuck it," and just started dumping.
Numbers
It
are
was a double top. It was a double top.
Mm.
So once we breach 35,000, then I'll start to be like interested in everyone wrecking themselves, because unless it hits $70,000, it's just going to be a super fake. But anyway, if one Bitcoin right now is 23,000, if you wanted to buy an equivalent of GBTC, so I take the 23,000, multiply it by, let's just say 42%. Oops. 23,000, multiply that by the 42%. So that's a $9,600 premium minus the 2,300.
Oh, okay, wait, hang on.
So 13,000. So one Bitcoin of GBTC is essentially $13,000. Instead of paying $23,000, you can buy this Bitcoin for $13,000. So why is this Bitcoin 42% cheaper? It's 42% cheaper because we're in a bear market, and people with money are smart, and they're called smart money, and they don't want to buy Bitcoin. And if they knew that Bitcoin was the smart buy, then they would take all their financial money and purchase GBTC and purchase the same Bitcoin you and I get at essentially a 42% premium.
I don't know. I like to look into this more, guys. It's really interesting. My assumption, just on like cursory overview, would be that this GBTC, which I know nothing about at all, but from what you've said, what I can see here, it will, like, I would assume that if this can depeg from the price of Bitcoin, it's because the financial money, as you say, which we're talking about, like basically like retirement funds and other like pre-tax money generally, or institutional grant, investment endowments and things. So this money has been, this Bitcoin has been invested, by proxy, right? It's not like necessarily, this is the problem with is procuring Bitcoin this way.
Through Grayscale.
Coins, yeah, in a fiduciary centralized way through Grayscale. So their acquisition of Bitcoin, their average price, their dollar cost averaging is reflected in that GPTC, not the price of Bitcoin necessarily, is kind of how I'm reading that, which means that you're actually taking kind of an external risk altogether, and at some point you're just putting your confidence in Grayscale. It almost looks like, I mean, just anyway, that's just kind of what I thought initially. Maybe I'm way off.
No, I mean, forget Grayscale has a financial product called GBTC. On a side tangent, Grayscale also has a financial product for Ethereum Classic, Decentraland's Mana, Zencash. Grayscale has several different financial products, but their first and most popular is GBTC, and they have a certain amount of Bitcoin that they are holding in a very, essentially secure way. And if you want to purchase a unit of their total supply, it essentially costs, one unit of their total supply costs 13,000. And their total supply is essentially supposed to be worth 1-for-1 Bitcoin. And because they can't just like easily, buy and sell Bitcoin because of like what they're doing, there's essentially more people have sold, and they can't arbitrage to balance it out. So it forces an arbitrage that can't be balanced. And so smart money doesn't want to fill that arbitrage until they feel that Bitcoin's on its way up. And so what my thesis is that smart money knows that Bitcoin might dip again, because the whole world economy might dip again before people take their money and they start putting it back into appreciating assets. Because basically right now money is expensive because interest rates are high, and interest rates might go higher.
It's a pretty sophisticated take, dude. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but like I wouldn't have got there on my own. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a single metric. The negative, it's called the premium or the negative on the premium or the negative premium on the GBTC, and yeah, go look it up. I'm sure there's all sorts of charts out there. You could probably like find some and like share if you want. But there's all sorts of charts where sometimes people like these people with money that have this financial money, I'll call it, they want to buy Bitcoin, and instead of there being Bitcoin, like say Bitcoin's like, $23,000, if they want to buy a share of GBTC, it might cost 30,000, even though for me and you it's 23,000. And they don't give a AF because whatever their premium is, they believe it's going to go higher, and they can't take their money and purchase raw Bitcoin. They can only purchase this financial type of Bitcoin because they can only purchase in the Bitcoin system. So they purchase the synthetic. This is boring. No one wants to know about this.
Gary, I have a question. So do you believe that the entire crypto market is still intimately connected to Bitcoin? And if so, do you think that there might be a time where that won't be a case?
Yeah, so I think technically it's called Hart's Law, because the first person that started talking about it was Richard Hart. But basically everything in crypto, traditionally speaking, is connected to Bitcoin. Therefore, when Bitcoin goes up a lot, everything naturally goes up a lot because it's connected to Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down because everything's connected to Bitcoin. And that used to be extremely 1,000,000% true, essentially. And now it's like a little bit less true, but it's still very, very true. And the reason it's less true, and this is kind of important, because back in but like before 2017, 2018, we had the layer 1 wars. Like, is Bitcoin going to win, or is Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, or Bitcoin versus Ethereum, right? And basically, there's this consensus that Bitcoin has won Bitcoin stuff, and Ethereum has won like everything else.
People were seriously concerned when Bitcoin Cash rolled out. I was like, whoa, and people.
Yeah. It was a big deal. Yeah, it can't be understated how big of a deal it was, and a lot of like smart people who I love and respect were big blockers, and weren't happy with the end result of that situation. But regardless, like those were the layer 1 wars, and basically after 2017, after 2018, a little bit up and even until today, you could say, we have these layer 2 wars, and these layer 2 wars have been like a really big deal. And these layer 2 wars are basically like basically Polygon is a layer 2 and Optimism is a layer 2, and like decentralization wise, Optimism is a better layer 2 hopefully than Polygon, because Polygon is like totally 100% centralized and is not really decentralized in terms of Polygon has admin keys, and Solana has admin keys and all that shit. But what are we talking about? Because there's other like protocol wars, and so like right now we're going through major protocol wars. Like, so all you guys are ENS people, and all you guys know about CCIP. Well, there's also this competing thing that's brand new, essentially, as competing with CCIP. And what's competing with CCIP is CCTP. And CCTP is the Circle. There's a company called Circle. They're a centralized company. They're US based. They're very big. Circle is a company behind USDC, which is a centralized stable coin. If they want to shut the coin in your wallet, they could shut the coin in your wallet and prevent you from spending it and make it worthless. And so Circle has created CCTP, which is sort of centralized, and that's in competition with CCIP, which is cross-chain interoperability protocol, which is created by ENS Labs and Chainlink and ENS Labs, tomato, potato. And yeah, so then you have these stable, I think where I was trying to get to is that you have these stable coin wars. And so you have like DAI, you have Tether, you have USDC for Circle, and you have more and more stable coins, right, entering the scene. And with more stable coins entering the scene and more trading pairs against Bitcoin and more trading pairs against Ethereum being traded against the stable coins, you get more and more percentage of the crypto market that's trading against a stable coin instead of trading against Bitcoin. And so, like, I don't have the numbers in front of me. There's still a large percentage of the market that's trading against Bitcoin. So yeah, if Bitcoin jumps up, the whole market will jump up. And that's a little bit less true now. And it'll be less true as more and more trading pairs are put against stable coins. It'll be less volatile. You know what I mean? And Bitcoin will become more and more stable, and Ethereum will become more and more stable. But it's gonna take, it's probably gonna take a couple decades for those to be like significantly more stable.
You guys go for it.
I was like decades, damn.
Well, like S curves, like it's gonna be decreasing every time, But think about Bitcoin's going in these 4-year cycles. There's gonna be like an extremely small amount of Bitcoin being released, and then there's gonna be the total demand against that Bitcoin, right? And so, just to give you this other thing that Binance put out, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew this, right? There's more millionaires in the world than there are Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They're saying that there's 62 million millionaires.
I can believe that.
Yeah. Back when I used to talk about this in 2017, I used to tell people that there were 42 million or 43 million millionaires.
Well, thanks, Bitcoin. Thank you, Bitcoin, for making more millionaires.
No. High inflation has made more millionaires, not Bitcoin.
Well, what year? You're saying like 2017?
Since 2017. Yeah,
2017
like some of those millionaires are billionaires because of Bitcoin, but because dollars are being printed,
dollars are
like
fake.
eventually, like you're gonna be eventually, like not you, but like eventually, like everyone, like some kid that doesn't have enough money to eat will be a millionaire, and $1 million won't be enough for them to buy food.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's gonna be a millionaire. That's the thing, right? Do you guys understand? Like, literally, every dog in this planet will be a millionaire because $1 million will be worthless.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sorry.
so-
Like, I'm confused here though, because the max supply on Bitcoin is 21 million. Is it just the way that they're saying it? It's strange.
Yeah, fucking Europeans, man. They're saying yeah, they're trying to say 21. They're trying to say 21,000 million, and 21,000 million is supposed to be like 21 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this, when they say 62,000 millionaires, what they mean here is 62 million. What they mean to say here, guys, is that there's currently 62 million millionaires globally, and there's going to be a max supply of 21 million Bitcoin. And I know they don't. I know they mess up with that.
Yeah, see, this is
damn.
literally an advertisement for like, hey, just consider using Coinbase or KuCoin. Like, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, really. I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
You
They're
can't
right
afford a
for that.
copywriter? Okay.
Okay, but you get
Binance
the gist. You get the gist. For every one Bitcoin, there's 3. Wait, does anyone on this call want to admit to being a millionaire?
I'm not. I will if my parents die, but like, I'm not.
Okay, I am not a millionaire. Are you a millionaire? Does anyone want to admit to being? Okay, so nobody wants to admit to being a millionaire. Some of us in this call might have 1 Bitcoin.
I would assume that.
Maybe you know someone who owns 1 Bitcoin and they're not a millionaire. True or false?
Some of us might have liquidated our Bitcoin for ENS.
Wait, just true or false? Do you know?
Damn, that is a wow. No,
True-
it's a better long-term play, to be real. So it can be if you obviously got the right stuff.
But true or false? You might know someone right now who owns 1 Bitcoin.
I used to own 1 Bitcoin. I'm sure you guys have to.
Right, but you might know someone right now who owns 1 Bitcoin who's not a millionaire.
Yes.
Okay. So if we were to take 21 million Bitcoins and we were to divide them only amongst millionaires, so none of us are millionaires. If we were to take 21 million Bitcoins and divide them for all the millionaires in the world, there's 1 Bitcoin for every 3 millionaires. And some people own Bitcoin, they're not millionaires. There's someone who's not a millionaire and they own 10 Bitcoin. No house, no car, no job, they got 10 Bitcoin.
I'm not shocked. It feels like most of NFT Twitter.
And there's gonna be 30 for that one person that has 10 Bitcoin. There's gonna be 30 millionaires that don't have any Bitcoin.
Yeah.
By the way, that one person with 10 Bitcoin and no house and no job has a very nice travel RV and they just spend they never worry about paying for gas. They're good. Okay, don't worry about that person. They're okay.
Or they live on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Or live in their mom's basement and just don't tell people that they have it, because that's the smart way to go. Don't let anyone know what you even have. That's my thing. Like, if I won the lottery, I would do it as quietly as humanly possible. If I have something that pops, like really pops, no one's gonna know about it. I'm just gonna keep living my life, letting money come in, working, just acting like everything's the same until I don't have to anymore.
Sales bot don't lie. Guys, somebody was mentioning about how oregano was such a great tool of Bitcoin adoption. And I thought that was hilarious. And I was thinking, just before this, I was doing an interview with Queen Maxi, and we were just stumbled on the topic of, adoption and the necessity in brokerage. We're talking about ENS brokerage and the need to kind of bring people, corporations, in buyers, brands to an awareness of how to even custody their assets or why their ENS is even useful to them. Maybe help prompt their imagination, their marketing department about what they can potentially do with this asset. And so in that conversation, and then coming to this conversation, too, I was talking about how before the brands really feel like the impetus to take the plunge and even spend something, impressive on their domain, like a few 100,000 or 500,000 or more, they're going to need to see that there's real volume of people here, and that there's things that they can do with it that will actually serve their bottom line. And I feel like the very real economics of that are not a winner for most brands looking to enter the space. They might even have a lot of them looked at it and said, not yet. And I get that, so I think we kind of need to be the agents of the mass adoption. And in a way, there's this weird kind of price wall or pressure of stagnation, because we're afraid to like go to the brands because we're like, we're gonna wait till they come to us. We're gonna wait till they come to us. We don't want to be poaching them and get in trouble. And the brand, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm just saying as a broker, forget that. You know, I'm contacting the brands. And I'm saying I'm a broker and I can help you get this asset. And here's why it's valuable. It's a valuable communication. Anyway, just fun.
You know, I'm curious, and this would be a good question for Steven and the ENS Shark Tank. As you know, as you are in your second season, but I'm curious whether we are going to see more of a transition from people just, trying to sell domains to trying to sell ENS domains that might have some kind of build on it. You know, even though it's like basics, basically, it's back to Novak's was saying, it's much easier to show than it is to explain.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the narrative is starting to change for sure. We were really fortunate yesterday to have Dylan Meador on for like an hour or so. And for those that are not familiar, he is known as AKA Satoshi Test Account. And Dylan was phenomenal, like truly phenomenal during that hour where we were really breaking down what the value of domains will be once you do build on them, right? And it was encouraging because like realistically, those domains have so much more potential once you do something with it, right? And I've had conversations with a handful of the other sharks about this, but like even driving up something like subdomain architecture and really building out, what it could be used for, even just like the smallest level does add a ton of value to it. So I think that over time, the narrative is definitely shifting, especially more than last season, right? We were talking a lot about 184's favorite combination of words, and that is subdomain potential. And again, he's taking it to heart. I think you said to me in DMs, you're tattooing it on your arm, right? Yeah. It's tramp stamp.
Tramp stamp.
God, man, that's gonna be a special piece.
Fantastic.
Potential.
Yep. See, that's where Novak's would put it, but I think 184's got the right idea. The idea of going beyond, right, and creating something beyond potential is the real value driver at the end of the day. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, right? We had a great domain that was pitched yesterday. The Sharks didn't get it. I got it clear as day, and Dylan got it too. And it was for livecoverage.eth.
Ooh, that's good.
Yep. But it's really good once you build something out on it, right? Because then your end customer actually can conceptualize the potential for it. It's beyond just interpretation. So yeah, Ada, I think you're spot on. I think it's going to be one of those things that expands really the valuation potential in the future.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one. What's your favorite, like personally favorite one you've seen on Shark Tank? Like personally, like you just like it. Like you'd want it for yourself.
That's a really tough one because
it has
some really, really good names.
I bet. I'm dying. No, I've never actually. I tune in now.
I was gonna say,
got a lot to sell. Because this is it's my creative outlet.
Shoot me a DM. We'd love to have you on. It's every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I think that if I was to pick, it would definitely not be the one that Novax was just shilling at me, which was ENS Therapist. For reasons that you can
go. What was it?
What is it?
The one that I don't like is ENS Therapist.
That's fun.
We're not turning the show into a shill section, guys. We're not turning the show into a shill section. But I will say
nobody here owns it, right?
I don't know. I just
checked. I have it with the $sign in front of it.
Okay, so you want Gary, let's shill 184's domain for 2 seconds here. 184, do you really own #the rapist? Yeah, think about that for a second. That's why I'm not a fan of ENS Therapist.
Therapist doesn't pass the TV test.
Yeah.
It reads horribly.
Ooh, you're right. Damn, I didn't see it visually. Now you've said that. Now I got second thoughts.
Somebody pitched it on the show, and one of the sharks or somebody on the panel pointed it out, and everyone was like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna pass."
And I was the one that pointed it out because there was it was one of those like joke and comedy spaces that really took Clubhouse by storm in the early days. And somebody on Clubhouse like legitimately had taken the name, I think it was Jill Therapist, like literally just that. And I decided to be the one to
It
come
should
up
have
with
been Jack. It should have been a Jack.
Right.
Jack Therapist.
But
Oh.
I wanted to come up on stage and just roast her because that's exactly what we were doing. It was just messing around. And ever since that Clubhouse session, like I've never been able to read Therapist the same way ever again.
Yeah.
See, everybody knew that back in the .com days, because I'm old as fuck. Back in the .com days, like we all knew that. You know what I mean? That you had to be careful of words like that. There's like a whole list of words, and like therapist is like the lowest hanging fruit.
You should publish that like for premium. You should like put that on Web3 domains, like a list, and like people would probably pay like what? How much did you pay for that? Like the list, if you're like a big ENS buyer, like just to know the ones that would just look like shit, and you could probably like make a nice little tool for yourself. What would you pay for that? I would say at least.
Yeah, we put it out there for free. Yeah.
What would you call it?
These are the words you have to use proper capitalization for.
Yes.
Fireball called certain conjugations trap words on the show yesterday. I thought that was really clever, the way he described that and everything. And I agree with his assessment too. And I didn't have the words for it. So trap words is a great word. This doesn't fall in that category. This is a whole other thing. It's even worse. This is like what would you even go? What's an upgrade from a trap word?
I mean, you've also heard of Heaven's Tools. I would call this Hell's Bells.
The landmine word. Landmine came on the tank yesterday. That was pretty good too. I saw that come down premium, and I picked up the ones that I shilled, and then that one got the attention. So that was another case in, dude, I could have had either one, and the one that I picked up was way less well received. So it was cool to see the social receptivity in the show to the domains, because that establishes a whole nother benchmark for valuation.
I think that for sort of each one of us, like we each have a different vision of what they could be. And that's why I think putting it together is so important. I think, going to a brand and just being like, hey, I have the domain name of your brand and you need it because you don't want to be left behind. Like, yes, that's one sales strategy, right? We all know the salesman that just won't go the fuck away. And you're like, dude, really? Like, no. But I think that the way better strategy is you make a pitch deck, you show them the potential, you show them the research of what they're like. Nothing sings better than what their competitors have done, because they know money, and they know if their competitors are doing better, they're gonna lose money. That's what every single brand out there knows, and that's what FOMO is to them, is that their biggest competitor is gonna get ahead of them by miles. But then the most amazing opportunity, I think that everybody overlooks, is that they don't have anybody on their team who can guide them. So, like, you're not just a broker, you're not just selling them stuff. Like, the best opportunity that you have is to actually become part of their team and to be a consultant to actually help them to make something out of that. Like, that's where I always think outside of the box, maybe because I'm a marketer and I deal with businesses all the time, and so it's like, this is kind of their mode of thinking, that most of the time they don't really give a fuck unless something isn't working, something is preventing them from making money, or their competitors are getting ahead of them. Like, it's a really, really streamlined, in many ways, streamlined way of thinking.
You're kind of proposing that you could approach a potential end buyer, but actually pitch them a job for yourself, right? Like, talk yourself into a job being their kind of Web3
100%. 100% be like, hey, I'm a consultant in Web3. It's a new technology. I would like to spend 30 minutes with you. I have, an opportunity for you that I think might benefit your business. You show them a really simple pitch deck. You throw them some statistics and say, hey, I have been in the space for a very long time. This is what I have done. and I can help you, from the basic things of how to integrate it to actually how to bring that strategically into your brand. So
we should start a company called Hyperwave Marketing, and we should do that.
So Ada, I think certainly.
mean, that's how I approach brands. I never go to them and be like, I have shit to sell you. Like, I mean, maybe because I'm allergic to sales, but I just think that if you can't bring value with you, then you're just a troll. Sorry, Novak, nothing against you, but it's like you have to bring value. Otherwise, it's like you don't understand, as a business owner, the amount of emails I get every single day on every single platform. Like LinkedIn, directly to my email, calls, they all trying to sell me shit. And occasionally I get on a call with someone, and if I get on a call with them, it's because they can help me save money, they can help me get ahead of their business, and they usually have a really good proposition that involves some kind of partnership.
So Ada, let's say hypothetically I have I'm a CEO of a major car brand called Porsche, and I want to get into Web3, I want to get into NFTs. Run me through how you do that, because I don't want to fall on my face and do something trashy, shitty.
Wait, you want me to give you the whole strategy so you can take it and run with it?
Well, perhaps you could improve upon one that might have occurred in the last few days.
Or theoretically have like some type of in-touch strategy person that might understand the space that you're entering, or never mind, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about cars. So recently I did a presentation to my business network about websites and why you might need a website, right? Very, very basic. Sometimes you have to go the more basic you can go, the more people you're going to reach. But I basically was like, I am to my clientele what my car mechanic is to me. Like, my car is broken and I take it to the car mechanic and they're like, your ignition is broken. I'm like, great. Can you fix it? Like, I don't need a 30-minute or an hour. Like, this is how the ignition works and this is how it connects to some internal computing system. Like, I mean, I do not give an F. I'm just like, I want to drive my car. You, the expert, can you fix it? But if I'm giving a presentation about something that I don't know anything about, I would go and research the hell out of a car market first, because I don't know anything about it. So for me to really understand, to pitch them, I would have to be like, who is their number one competitor, right? Like, what is the history? Like, at what point, like, are they number one? Are they number three? Were they ever number one? Did that ever change? You have to kind of understand the dynamic of the competition, not just from this point, but just like from the whole history arc, and then you can start pitching Web3. And I, off the top of my head, do not know of any car companies per se that have gotten into Web3. So you have to kind of build some bridges.
Excuse the shark in me, but you have me chomping at the bit. I have I've run this over 6 ways to Sunday, and it just drives me absolutely insane. And yes, that is another car pun for you. There are case studies out there of car companies diving into Web3. You have Corvette that did it and failed miserably. And why? Because they were completely out of touch. They tried to sell a used colorway for a Corvette, and they just completely botched landing on it. Why? They weren't in touch. Porsche had I think it was 2 other case studies they could have utilized, and they just didn't. It was, oh my God. Had they just reached out to StephenMiller.eth, we would not be in this situation.
But that is actually amazing. Like, what you had said is actually amazing, because like I said, like, I don't know enough of the history. I have to go in and do all that research, because the truth most likely is that the executives that I'm talking to, they know about this. because they're very well versed, especially on all the stuff that their competitors do and fail at, and so on and so forth. So you have to be able to address it. And I think that you can spin it to actually your benefit. You can say, okay, there is a case study, it failed miserably. This is why it failed miserably. And if there isn't like a car company that had succeeded, you can pull another successful brand and you can build a bridge and say, but this company had done it this way, and those were the differences, and this is why they succeeded, and this is why you can take this template and put it on top of the car company. And if there hasn't been a success story, that is even better, because guess what? Nobody likes anything more than being the first, than having the glory of being like, yes, I am the first car company that got into Web3 space and I crushed my competition. Right? And so, I think you can sell anything if you just connect to like, what is their biggest pain point? Are they like losing sales right now? Does their marketing sucks? Like what is happening? And they're not gonna tell you. So you actually have to do that research yourself and be able to like answer the questions if you're doing if you're pitching. But I think
shout out to BMW because in terms of talking about cars, because we have Chevy with like I think it was like a one of one that nobody bought, and then we have Porsche, and Porsche is like brand new. That's this week.
Yeah,
that's another NFT project. But BMW has been doing blockchain research for years, and BMW is looking into and granted it's like a private blockchain or maybe not a public blockchain, but they're experimenting with, there's like an onboard computer into everybody's car, and basically leveraging blockchain technology so that when you have data that your car is collecting, that if you back in the test that I was researching back in 2018 with BMW, you can choose to share your data with BMW. And by sharing your
BMW, that. Yeah, now I remember that.
You're going to get essentially the BMW coin. And then the BMW coin that you're going to receive in exchange for your driving data, right? You're producing something and you're giving it, you're sharing it. And by sharing it, they're paying you for what you're sharing. And then you can take this BMW coin in order to get tire rotation, mechanical, fixes to your car, other repairs and benefits of being part of the BMW club with your mechanic because you bought the car from the dealership. And so there's cases where there's car companies that are researching this in serious ways, and then there's cases in the Porsche example where they're trying to do something, but they're obviously not consulting.
They're not hitting the mark.
And I think that people.
I think that you can see very clearly. See, this is what happens in a rapidly growing market. It creates an opportunity for a lot of crooks. And if you are very, very good at knowing how to systematize that and sell to, whatever brands or whoever might need these services, then salespeople are some of the most incredible people because they can sell you anything. Like if you've ever been in front of a great salesperson, you walk away and you're like, I bought shit that I absolutely did not need, but in that moment, they made me feel like it was the most important thing in the world. And then it's like, I don't even know why I bought it. But the problem is that, a lot of these companies that are like created sort of on the spot, on the brink of opportunity, right? They don't actually know what is best for these companies. So they're just capitalizing on an opportunity of the rapidly growing market. And the truth is, if you are a, top executive at the company, like you don't have a lot of time to screen like what, to like do a deep dive on like what is going on and what are these companies and which company might be best. Like you'll do some research, but you just, you don't have 100 hours built in of, and this is the problem that we have at Web3, right? There isn't the information is very scattered and it's very difficult to go to. Like there isn't one place where I can go and say, I want to learn about Web3. Right? Like
real quick, Rachel,
Yeah.
I know you got to bounce. I'm sorry that we're not going to be able to hit you up in the live stream and talk about the World Economic Forum and David.
You'll hear my hot spicy thing at some point. I'm sure maybe I made a thread. I'll make another thread at some point.
Are you Bitcoin just thumbs up or Bigfoot? Bigfoot thumbs up or thumbs down since you're not going to be in the.
Yes. Yes.
Right
I mean, it may look like something else, but it's real. Whatever this is, we may not understand it. It's real. That's why I feel like with aliens. But I also believe in aliens. I think that aliens is absolutely, but it's stupid for humans to think that we're alone. Dumb.
Rachel, I'm really sad because I'm going to share in the after show. I'm going to share with everybody the story that I told my kid about which is not my story, but it's a story from a well-known UFO expert. And it's a story, it's a UFO expert who is talking about stories, like real stories that I could cite in reference to Bigfoot. An alien researcher referencing Bigfoot, and I told him about this Bigfoot theory, and yeah, he laughed.
Does someone own alien?
It's very good Bitcoin. It's a very good Bitcoin. It's a very good Bigfoot theory that you're gonna hear about.
Bitcoin foot theory.
All right, y'all. If we also alien, does someone own that? Someone must own it. But you can't do caps, so it's stupid. I was gonna say, does someone own it in caps? No, they don't. Who owns aliens? Whatever big brain owns that. Smart.
I want to own that one.
That's a big brain one. All right. Bye, y'all. Thank you for having me. Talk to you soon.
Anyway, Ada, just to wrap up that what you were saying, or just to tie into what you were saying, talking about what a difficult time that everybody, Web 2, Web 3 people are happening with the number of Web 3 companies that are getting into the space, and these CEOs, these CTOs at different levels not having, the time to discern all of these legitimate Web 2 companies that are coming into the space. And what's really difficult is that it's not just legitimate Web 2 and Web 3 companies coming into the space. It's also scammers and illegitimate companies coming in. And so while people are receiving good information, good deals, good alpha, some of the good information, some of the good deals, some of the good alpha is actually bad information, bad deals, and bad alpha. And they're being phished, they're being scammed, and it is making the discernment even more difficult to understand what is happening. Kevin Rose, legend in the space, was hacked.
Incredibly sad today.
Incredibly sad. And instead of talking about wonderful, great things, we're talking about destruction and devastation. Listen, if I own an his autoglyph is probably worth more than everything I own. His one autoglyph is probably worth more than everything I own at current market rates. Let alone, everything that he actually lost, which was pretty extensive.
That is heartbreaking.
He lost like 25 squiggles, like 25 squiggles. Yeah, Kevin Rose, Moonbirds, all sorts of cool stuff. This was his wallet. They got hit, 1.6 million followers. So sad. I just want to give a shout out to Revoke.cash. Not a sponsor. Feel free to sponsor us. Revoke.cash is a website that everyone should check out. You should don't connect your wallet, right? Don't connect this. But pop in each of your wallets into the Revoke.cash address and go look. Are you connected to any old OpenSea smart contract? You probably are.
Yeah, Novak's just posted it in our little group chat here, but Etherscan has an alternative to it as well. It's really, really effective.
Token approval checker. Someone fucking yell at them, because that is a shitty URL. Why can't this be like, what is this one? Revoke.cash? Why can't this be etherscan.io/revoke? Why the F? What happens if I type in revoke? They suck.
because they did not reach out to Gary as a consultant. Shame on you.
That sucks. This should be just revoked. Who's going to remember this? If I tell you, go to etherscan.io/token approval checker, you're going to fuck that up. You're not going to remember that.
100%.
This is what happens. This is what happens where like developers build shit without having like, you know, designers and marketers on board. They can actually like check what the actual user experience is. You know, and this has been true since like the beginning
SEO.
of
If this
like
shows
Web
up
2
in
days.
Google, who's going to be able to read this in Google? They might as well call this the therapist. Etherscan.io/therapist. That would be better, guys. That would be better. Whiskey Wednesdays.
Yeah. So this entire story sucked, in my opinion, just because like everything hurts when you look at what Kevin Rose went through. But what really pisses me off about it most is he surrounds himself with exceptionally smart people, and not one of them brought up to him using something like joinfire.xyz or like the 3 other solutions out there that are actively built into your Chrome extensions that can tell you what the contract is theoretically doing and what it's granting you access to and what it looks like and can guide you from pitfalls. Again, it's not perfect yet, but there are solutions out there that can mitigate your risk. And for some reason, these advisors to him never brought it up. And that to me is a damn shame. But you have to continue to test yourself and remain skeptical of what it is that's in front of you, whether it's just a MetaMask transaction, what pops up when you click a link in Google, right? Use a VPN for God's sake so it can block all of the like crap domains. But good Lord, I mean, like even what Emily Loves Crypto is building right now in the Foolproof app is a phenomenal like security suite that's coming to market. And if you haven't heard of it, you don't understand what the concept is, please go check out their software. And I'm not sponsored by them in any way, nor am I sponsored by Fire. But both have phenomenal solutions that can protect you from losing a shitload of money, even if your shitload of money is just $1,000 by perspective, right? This dude lost over $2 million today, right? If you're by perspective looking at a shitload of money and be like, man, that's $1,000 for me. It's still important. Care about your stuff, like, and continue to challenge what you know.
Yeah, and I'm really, this is where like the building and innovation comes, and I think that there are the buying cycles and I call them the buying cycles and the building cycles, and that's like the really, really beautiful thing, is because I think we still have a long way to go before we can be in a place where it's like, okay, I don't want to say easy, because this is like my biggest thing is that, the entire Web3 is built on a tenet of decentralization, which means like basically you are responsible for your own shit. And I think that it's like it rolls off our tongue and everybody is like, I love decentralization, but that actually means you have to understand what being a self-sovereign individual is. And there's nothing easy about it, because you yourself have to take responsibility. And to going back to like the tenets that Bitcoin was built on, and the time that it was like what was important during that time, and I always say go and read that white paper, because it's that's what the entire community, like this whole revolution, is based on. But it's like you have to take responsibility for your stuff. So what this means for us right now is that there's a lot of steps, and we have to use a lot of different apps, Stephen, like you were saying, right? And like we're always looking for the best ways to say, okay, like, I mean, I would always say, like, if you connect your wallet, like you should, in theory, read the freaking contract. Do any of us actually do it? Probably not. But having the tools that can say, okay, in translation, in a nutshell, this is what the contract does, super, super helpful. And I think that as we get more and more, as we get better at these tools, the hackers are gonna get better. Like, they're not gonna stay the same, right? So it's like, it's always this kind of delicate dance. And I think that if you are fully decentralized, then every step of your journey, like, you have to be responsible for your own stuff. And so that journey doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy, but you have to take those extra steps, because there isn't a person that you can call and be like, oh, I like fucked up and sent the money to the wrong person. You know, like, there isn't that. And so we get a lot from things being centralized, but because we fought so hard for being decentralized, like I always say, it's like we have to get out of the centralized mindset and actually say, now I'm responsible for this stuff. Yes, it's gonna take more work, you know, but if I fuck up, it's on me. So did I do my due diligence? Like, if I didn't read that contract, do I have the best tools that can tell me what the hell is actually happening? Like, every time I connect my wallet, I'm like, do I really want to do this? And I connect my wallet to so few things, literally, like, to so few things, because I'm like,
It only takes one.
Sacred. I know. And every day I'm like, you know, that time that I connected, like, it, like, because, like, did I read that contract? Like, I don't know what the contract says, right? Like, do we ever read the agree? Like, every time when you update your Apple phone or computer, do you actually read the terms and agreements, or do you just scroll to the bottom and you're like, okay?
But now that we have Chat GPT, I can copy and paste the terms and agreement into Chat GPT and say, hey, Chat GPT, is there anything seriously fucked up in this where I should not approve this contract, or does this look hunky-dory?
I mean, what is the very basic programming, right? Like, fucked up meaning, like,
I don't know. All I know is that Chat GPT,
you gotta cue it properly.
It passed the bar exam. So it's smarter than I am in terms of being like going to law school. You know, it might be smarter than I am when it comes to ENS names. Probably not really, though.
No. It's book smart. Very book smart.
Anyway, I don't know. All I know is that Arizona wants to make Bitcoin legal tender. Kevin Rose got his wallet hacked. No matter how smart and how many smart people he had around him,
sorry, Kev,
he still didn't do like all the best practices. And even though I feel like I do shit like really, really well, I bet I'm not doing everything right. I know I'm not doing everything right.
I feel like you should organize and kick some hacker ass.
Yeah.
Wait, what did they do?
That's something else. That's not Hunger Games.
Yeah, no, that's Hunger Games.
Realize that you're part
I think that's Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's Hunger Games.
It's Hunger Games. Yeah, like, you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna unite and fuck some shit up.
Yeah. You gotta fuck shit up. And yeah, not sure where we're going with that, but there's a lot in there that needs to be known and needs to be done, and that I hope that we're sticking together for. But yeah, Kevin Rose's wallet getting hacked, us not doing everything right. At the very least, if I could give everybody a couple tips as far as all that goes, stop using SMS. Use Google Authenticator
or YubiKey.
When you set up something like Google Authenticator, the very first day that you set up a Google Authenticator, it gives you like a QR code to scan, so you can scan that into your phone and add it to your Authenticator app. If you look, it also gives you like a 30 or 40 character key, 24 with 32, whatever. If you write down that 32 character long key, and you're like Gmail Authenticator or Coinbase Authenticator, and you maybe store it where you store your crypto keys or something to that effect. If you do lose your phone in a salty ocean, you can have backups of your Authenticator natively without using any of their built-in tools.
True story.
coming from someone who's dropped their phone in the ocean before, intentionally, but it was worth it.
Intent deliberately, for real, deliberately.
Yeah, we could talk about that in the after show.
Yeah, okay.
But it was a calculated risk. It was a calculated risk.
Gary, I drove our new car on the beach here because we have like one of the only places where you can drive on the beach here in California. We have this amazing thing here in Central Coast, and we stopped and we got out and the kids were running around for a minute, and we got back in the car and I said, "Oh God, where's my phone?" And we had already driven off, and I was like, I mean, it's probably out in the sand somewhere. There's no way I'll find it. There's just no way. And I was freaking out and panicking. And then I found it in the car. Fortunately, it was like under my seat. But it occurred to me at that moment, just the kind of, I started going through like the possible non-recoverables. And I was like, dude, this is totally unacceptable right now.
Yeah. So don't use, on one hand, it's kind of like, yeah, if you have all your crypto in Coinbase, then if you lose your password, Coinbase can probably get that back to you one way or another. And if you lose your private key, there's no one in this universe or the next who's giving you your private key. So you gotta, balance that level of security. Don't use SMS. Have shit backed up. Share your recovery plan with your wife or your kid or your sister or parent or somebody. Because there's a lot of people who die who don't share that information with people. There's a lot of things in there to consider. We're really, really early, and there's a lot of risk. And because there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of reward. I'm really proud to have gone to DevCon recently, and I can tell you my experience at DevCon in a very bear market, no hype sort of feeling. The developers are really not just serious. The developers are very aware that the UI and UX in your ledger and your Trezor of the whole like next. I don't know what any of this means to get better. They're very aware that the UX UI around security and custodialship and governance needs to get better. They're very, very aware, and it was very inspiring, and I felt very proud to be there. But until we get there, there's a lot that you need to do. But yeah, so Bitcoin's becoming legal tender. It's going to be really interesting to see how the dice falls with Ethereum. I don't see how Ethereum can not get through. There's too much riding on Ethereum now. And yeah, I think we're going to have an after show. I'm not sure who's going to be able to show up for the after show. Maybe we could hang out for, half hour, 60 minutes, 45, 60 minutes. But maybe we can talk about some aliens. Maybe we could talk about some Zen, some Zen meditation stuff. Maybe we can talk about the World Economic Forum at Davos with Unstoppable Domains and other crypto companies. I'll share some insider information.
Don't tell me we got WEF creeping into funding onto UD on us now all of a sudden. I can't handle that.
I am going to share WEF UD information and secondhand insider information.
Get more whiskey. You're gonna need it. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, I hope you like ghost stories, boys and girls, because you're in one.
All right, let's do this thing called the after show.
Yeah, in a private chat, someone's talking about easiest security to have multiple wallets.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm gonna share this with you, and then we're gonna close off. But if I would have had multiple wallets instead of having just like a handful, a literal handful.
Please don't make me cry again.
Close your ears. Yeah, we could have had $80 million. I fucked up, guys.
I said, if you don't have those stories, you haven't been in the space long enough.
If I would have had all my ENS names in different wallets, I would have had about $80 million. I would have had to paid about like $40 million in tax probably, but
Yeah, we still would have had $40 million. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but the gas was so high during the airdrop. You would have had to pay so much gas to claim it. You know?
yeah, I would have only been left with $39 million.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take that.
Man, I'm sorry. That's painful to know that. I didn't collect my ENS airdrop. I was apparently eligible, and I thought like an airdrop was gonna show up for me. Apparently, we had to claim it. I wasn't made aware. I wasn't part of any community at the time. Maybe retroactively one day they'll be like, for any of those guys who were just sitting on the sidelines and didn't claim their airdrop, here's $2 million.
You know, I don't know if you say that facetiously or not, but that is, in my eyes, as a delegate who understands blockchain, that is a legitimate request.
100%.
Think about it. You can prove every single person on the blockchain who is authorized to receive it. You can prove everyone back in the day who claimed it within. You can go into the forum and say, hey, what Gary just said, we know the delta, the people who didn't claim. I propose those people knock them off 10%. Say, you don't get 10% because you were late. And they're still going to have to pay, taxes, and have to worry about that sort of stuff. But that is a legitimate request.
I wonder how many of us there are of us sad saps who just didn't know what we were missing.
And listen, you're not really hurting anybody because that money belongs to the DAO. So if the DAO says it's just, it is blockchain just, and it's not as if like the blockchain is going to show, hey, Gary, he claimed his tokens. He has no more tokens to claim. Novak's provable didn't claim. He fucked up. Penalize him 10%. Give him the other $1 million.
Or add a cost of living adjustment, add maybe 3 or 6%, What other way, it's fine.
Hey, Gary, the delegate of the people. Here we go.
I just heard the call. They called in from the other room. They said, Novak's party of one, your airdrop is ready.
I'm always looking for a special treatment. I feel bad
like
about that.
But imagine this, like, what if they actually made that call and tried to deliver on it on April Fool's Day?
I don't actually think that it's totally illegit, because the thing is, it's like you have to literally have finger on the pulse in so many things. That's why I'm involved in like a handful of projects, and most of them I'm still like, Gary, what's going on? Because it's like you have to be in the Discord, you have to be like checking it, you have to be reading it, and even just like, if we talked about it, Stephen, like if you want to get in like later in the project because you're like, okay, I've been watching this project for a while, they're releasing something, how do I get on? And then you're like, shit, like I don't know what's going on, like there's a whole universe. Like imagine just being an alien like dropping on a planet and you're like, what's a toilet? Like,
that so
what's the soap? Is that a mint? Do I eat that? Like literally, like that's how I feel. Like if you guys have seen, we like one of my favorite movies that like me and my kids love to watch from like when they were still little, but it's like our movie is Home, and it's just like the language is like hilarious, and so I still like when we want to go outside, I'm like, you want to go into the out there? Just go into the out there. Like there's just like we have all these like jokes, but yeah, that's like what it is.
Disney taught us to speak bad.
No, I mean it's like landing in some of these projects. It's like landing on an alien planet, and it's like, what's going on? Like what benefits are like of version 1 and version 2, and like what's this? And like
that's
like,
another good takeaway.
It's really and most of them, I mean, like I said, blessed be the developers, because without you guys, like we wouldn't have anything. So like you are the builders of this new world, and like I bless you. But like please get some designers on board, and please get some like people
And
that
UX
can like help
developers.
you.
UX developers are not designers.
No. Like that's why I
The
mean.
designers
like,
are not
you
UX
develop, and you get some designers, and you get some people that can help you with an actual like, you know, what the experience is like. Because I go into some of these websites and I'm like, huh, I know nothing.
Yeah, well, Ada, what you are going to know about is aliens, conspiracy, and the other crazy
Yes.
shit that we're not supposed to talk
And
about
I
on
do
YouTube.
need some more whiskey. So let's go. Let's do this thing.
Ada, who are you? Where can people find more about you and all these handfuls of projects that you're involved with? It sounds very interesting if people want to know more.
Yeah. So I am Ada East. I am a whiskey drinker. I am apparently a marketing Jedi. I've been told by many people. I love marketing. I am a geek. And I also am a chief dungeon mistress for Web3 domains, where you can find anything and everything you want to know about ENS domain web space. So check us out on web3domains.com.
That sounds really interesting. I will have to check that out at web3domains.com. Steven, what's up, man? God, I love having you on the show.
Dude, Ada has the most kick-ass resume I've ever heard. I know we're trying to get to the after show, but like I have to just give those flowers real quick, because straight up, I just got done revitalizing and overhauling my resume. And if I was a recruiter and I saw marketing Jedi and dungeon mistress for web3domains.io, I would stop cold in my tracks and I would hire her on the spot. And I don't even care what the job is. It's like, we need that person for our culture.
I make a really good culture check. So just so you know, for one of the international business networking organizations that I'm a director consultant for, I actually am an official cheerleader and a culture champion. So
love that.
I do have that too on my resume.
Just add that, sprinkle that in there.
So good. Well, per your question, Gary, I'm Stephen Miller. You can find me on Twitter at SteveMiller_PHX or on ENS, StephenMiller.eth. Every week I host spaces for two of the best communities in all of Web3, the ENS Shark Tank and On-Chain Monkey After Dark. You are welcome in either of those spaces whenever you'd like. Of course, also I do work on a ENS calendar for their Twitter spaces. So if you would like to get a little bit more info on that, you can check my pinned tweet on Twitter. But I am also a free agent right now on the open market. So if you're looking for somebody who knows brands and really positive communication strategy to a T, I'm your guy. So just give me a call or shoot me a DM on Twitter. Would love to connect.
Cool, man. Yeah, you are someone who knows what needs to be known, and you're capable of disseminating that information if the right people contact you. So yeah, the right people should contact you. And speaking of the right people who should contact the right people, Novax. What's up, man? Who are you?
Yo, I'm Novax. I'm the right people. I don't know what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get yourself in a whole mess of trouble, I might be the right people. I'm an ENS broker and investor. I'm a really big believer in ENS. I think we're about to have a good time, real price discovery. People like Steven and the rest of you guys talking about utility and actually doing more than talking, starting to see it manifest now. It's very encouraging. So that's kind of what I'm about right now. I'm just putting my feet up and watching it all happen, and determined not to just not to passively go around just talking about it and narrating it this time, but actually, seize my piece of what we're all, intentioning to build. So I'm very excited to be a part of this as well. This is always a fun time, guys. I can't wait to get the after show with you. So thanks for having me, Gary.
Yeah, man, I love it. Thank you for being here. And yeah, let's talk more about the future of the show. And speaking of the future of the show, from humble beginnings, 184.
Hey. I'm 184.eth. I am the junior vice assistant to the regional manager of my Web3 life. And everybody, it's been a pleasure.
I'm sure you might actually own that 184.eth, so people could probably go to 184.eth and find more links to your socials and things of that nature. Yeah, and I'm Gary Palmer Jr.eth. Yeah, your humble host. I love just sitting back, listening to people talking about these crazy things, listening to the subtle intricacies of what they're really trying to say in between the lines. What are they really trying to share? What parts of them are they really trying to put out there into the world? What are the real, they give one message, and then you can kind of feel there's another message. And I love being a part of that conversation. I love being part of that message. And I love when you guys have these messages and they sort of like, I feel like they bounce off me and then they bounce off the rest of the world and they bounce off other people and it bounces off to the rest of the world and it brings back to me. And there's all this ringing. And what this ringing says is, I'm not sure if it's saying there's one bell by land or two by sea or three bells by blockchain, but there's a lot of fun things happening in the world. And it would be, I don't know what it would be, but I can tell you what it is. It's so much more meaningful with good people and good whiskey.
Cheers.
I'm Gary Palmer Jr. You watching, you're you. And together, all of us together, what we're doing with this Web3 stuff, what we're doing with ENS, what we're doing with the open blockchain, individually, what we're putting out there is that together we're minting coins.